Hello guys and welcome back. So now the sim is done and this is the result I have, and you can see it's expanding, it's going as expected for the first couple of frames and then quickly starting to expand. This is where we're adding that divergence. Now this is really high. You can see these trails ends up there and probably gonna go up here, which is really high in terms of scale compared to the overall explosion, and then the expansion is really high. You can see that already, and it's happening really quick. Now why this is happening is because we're adding too much divergence, and the divergence with our system is going to update the velocity, and the velocity is going to go back into the temperature. So the whole system feeds into each other, and changing one component will affect the other. So there's always tweaking of various parts, primarily the temperature, buoyancy, and then the divergence. So what I've done is I stopped this at frame 28, and then I went and changed the animation of the divergence and reduced it 10 times. So this number here was 0.75. I simply reduced that 10 times, and this is the result I have now. Let's see. And honestly, this is all we have to do at this point. There's not much further that we can do without running a high-res sim. Let's see. The temperature is back to normal. I had to increase the range because it changed with the when we set the divergence, when we created the animated divergence. So I had to change this value, and this is what we have now. And honestly, this is going to be a perfect sim, and it's pretty much the same. Let's see. I think this one is actually better. So this is pretty much the same as this one, and I believe this one is going to be better. Okay, so let me play blast this so we can see it in real time, and let me check the quality. I want to see if there is any more information to display here. Yeah, there is. And again, this is still mid-res sim, so we're not high enough yet. Let's go back and let's play blast this. And you can see with the system that we've created, we have perfect temperature placement. The parts that is expanding and moving the fastest has the highest temperature, and then everything else is also has a relative temperature, and it's reasonable in terms of its speed, expansion, and everything. So all these things are being taken care of the solver automatically. Cool. Now I think the cooling rate is really high at this point, but we can increase that. We can lower that. I think the cooling rate of the temperature overall is pretty high. I want it to still go up a lot higher, but let's see. Let me play this. So this one, yeah, I think this one has a higher buoyancy, but I'll share both files so you guys can compare them. And let's go back here. Sorry. And what I'm going to do now is something that we haven't talked about, we haven't seen a lot or talked about, is with our system right now, the velocity is being added to the sim uniformly. It's not accounting for anything really. And what I like to do is the parts with the low density, I want them to not be affected. I want things that are very transparent and to basically linger in space. I don't want the velocity or that gradient force to be affecting them at all. And I'm going to show an idea how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to create a volume VOP. And let's take a look at this. So right now in this sim, for example, I like to remove I like to create a mask that removes everything from here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a subtract. So let's say add constant. Let's say subtract. Let's be more clear. Subtract constant. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract from the density. And what this is going to do, you see already by subtracting 1 from the density, it removed all the low weak, the transparent parts. This is probably too much subtraction. I think we can go up higher. So 0.4 is probably a good value. But I don't want the mask to go up from I don't want this density to be higher than 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it between 0 and 1. And the reason for that is I don't want to have density that is higher than 1, because if I multiply the velocity with something higher than 1, it's going to get faster. I don't want that. I only want to clamp these guys. So we have pretty much 1 across the board or something lower and relative to the transparency of the volume, and then all the transparent part are now gone. So I'm going to go back to this guy here, and this temp val, I'm going to add that subtract. So I'm going to subtract constant from the density, which is, we set 0.4, actually it's lower at 0.3, and then we're going to clamp the velocity, the density between 0 and 1, and we're going to multiply everything by this. Now it's probably going to change how this looks, but this is really important to do, because in week 2 when we did the sim, the force was uniformly being applied, and to get that nice diffused surface, it's very important to also change the way it gets affected by the temperature, by the velocity, sorry. Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's go up to the sim and let's increase the buoyancy here, and then the cooling rate is really high right now, so I'm gonna lower that to 0.4. Okay, let's go back up. And I'm going to cache this, and then we'll continue in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.